Assalamu alaikum to everyone. How are we doing today? Could someone please can you confirm if you can actually hear me? Could someone just comment, drop a message on the live chat? Perfect, perfect. So, sorry about the delay once again. Yes, you're right. It's scheduled for 5 p.m. We're trying to do some last minute, what do you call it, technical issue, and that's why we haven't started. In the meantime, perhaps you can share with friends, colleagues, anyone you believe would benefit from this, that they might find it useful. Kindly share with them. We should comment in 5 minutes thereabout. Also, a reminder: the chat, it looks like it's 1 minute lag, so it's fine if perhaps maybe I ask for a comment and then you're like, "Oh, I already responded," or something like that. So yeah, let's we already have 68 people on the call. That's impressive. I'm sure we would definitely hit triple digits. So in 5 minutes time, Bismillah, we would comment. So in the meantime, highly recommend you adjust your seat. Yeah, it's fluctuating. Okay, let me see if I can do something about that, Wadud. Okay, it's already 6:04. So could yeah, yeah, exactly. That was what we are trying to fix. So kindly confirm if you can see the ask me initially. Yes, 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 yes. Perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmation. So it's 6:05, Nila. So without further ado, we would commence. So before we comment, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what we'll be doing today. Nila, we should be spending at least the target minute. So we should be ending say 6:45 thereabouts. Especially for people that would, for everyone really, it's not people. For Maghrib, Nila, and worst case scenario, hopefully we don't get into a case where we have to do 15 minutes. But that's And in terms of the agenda, so we can't hear anything. Is Rahma Abubakar the only one with that issue? Could someone confirm? Pending the confirmation, the rough agenda we have is we're going to give the opening remarks, a reminder about the fundraising, the application status, to the answering of questions. Um, Opening remarks, with the name of Allah, we pray that He puts His barakah in this session, and we pray that He makes it beneficial for everyone and He rewards us all, including the donors, the sponsors, well, more like, yeah, the donors, the scholars, the attendees, the prospective candidates, everyone really. We pray that Allah puts barakah in all our affairs and grant us ease. Amen. Thumma Amen. Uh, then the next thing on the agenda really is, before that, I think I can just go ahead and give you the updates regarding the application. So we started, or rather, we opened the application on the 16th, thereabouts, if I'm not wrong. And so far, we've actually received 528 applicants. 528 applicants. It's quite surprising because we had specifically recommended that you wait until the AMA session, that's the Ask Me Anything, before you proceed with the application. And we say this because, as much as possible, we don't want to deal with duplicate submissions, and we want people to be able to, we want everyone to be able to submit their best application. I don't know if some of us saw. Yeah, I'm going to reintroduce myself, no problem. Thank you for the reminder, Ibrahim Abubakar. And where was I? I lost my train of thought. Pa, 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 pa. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if some of you saw the message on Twitter where we said the first five applicants really would not proceed beyond the stage zero review, and that's really because simple instructions were not being followed. So rest assured, you're fine. 528 applicants. I'm sure at least maybe 300 or so would already even be disqualified, because even a simple thing like submit, make sure your CV is 2 pages. Some people are already submitting 3 pages, 4 pages. Why? And it's very funny, but it is what it is. So all of you that are here, the 177 prospective applicants that are here, I thank you for your time and consideration, really. And I hope again that this session would be beneficial for us all. So in terms of introduction, my name is Abdul Fattah Lawal. I'm currently part of the program team at Al-Musaafir. So what we pretty much are responsible for is ensuring that the application process, review process, everything pretty much goes as planned. So and also majority of the time, I'm the one that responds to your, and also and on social media. With me here is also Sister Mariam. She would be Idnila. And Sister Mariam, she would introduce herself fully, but interestingly enough, she's part of like the cohort one. So I know a lot of people have been asking, so where are like the rest of people that were successful, the ones we took in the cohort one, two, three, where are they? Alhamdulillah, we have Sister Mariam, so she would introduce herself fully and also share her experience so far, when that time comes. So that's the quick overview where we currently are. And then one more thing, okay, two more things, and then you would stop hearing from me, because as much as possible, Sister Mariam would be the one handling the live Q&A, and then I would be responding to your message in the chat section. And then in case you are wondering why, if perhaps you're not able to send a message, you can just subscribe, and then you should be able to view the chat section and be able to bring your message if necessary. So, by show of hands, or not necessarily show of hands, can you confirm if perhaps you went through the impact? So, a couple of days back, we sent our impact reports. What's the
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me now? Please drop it message in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, okay. Um so I'm Mariam Ademo, and I'm one of the recipients of the Al-Musaafir Foundation Scholarship, and I was actually among the first cohort. So Bro Abdul Fattah, unfortunately, I think his network is unstable. So I'll just take it from here. So just to continue from where he stopped, I'll dive right into what we actually have today, and then once his network comes back, so maybe you'll be able to continue from where he stops. But just to okay, so from the questions we have a lot of questions that you guys asked during the registration, and then we've compiled all of those together, and those are the questions I'll be addressing one after the other. Then once I'm done addressing those, then if you have any other questions that has not been addressed, then we can go on to talk about those. But just once again, is to the essence of this is to let you guys know the rules about the application process, how you're being how it's being reviewed, and the selection process that it's involved. Okay, so let me share my screen that contains the questions. Give me a minute, please. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen? Hmm. Let me learn for a minute. Hmm. Okay, so I think I will not be able to share my screen entirely, but I'll just pull up the question here. So from what we've been seeing so far from so someone said they have a second class upper and the international passport has not expired. The recommendation, the motivation recommendation letter and the CV So what I need most is the IELTS. Okay, so first, I'm going to talk about the requirements for the application process. So first, the number one thing is you have to be a Nigerian Muslim to apply for this. And then the application that you are going to be submitted will be mostly for next year, which is for the fall 2027 admission or 2027 admission generally. And also, you need one recommendation letter. So the recommendation letter could be maybe from your supervisor, your undergraduate supervisor. That will be like the most likely person that will want the recommendation letter from. And this is because for any scholarship you'll be applying for, you definitely need someone that could like speak about um your research experience, talk about you like as a student. And I think your supervisor is the person that you definitely need their recommendation in almost every applications you'll be submitting. So we'll need one application letter from them. Or if you cannot get that for this application process, you could also use recommendation letter for maybe your lecturers, but most ideally we'll need one from your supervisor. And also, you need a valid international passport. And when we say valid international passport, we will need a passport that has more than 6 month expiration on it. So you should have more than 6 month expiration dates for the passport. And then for you need your academic transcripts should be ready. So for the application process, you need to have your academic transcripts. So you need to have your academic transcript and also your the academic CV, which should be limited to just 2 pages. So it has to be maximum of 2 pages, even if you plan on applying for a PhD, for a master's, the maximum for this application is 2 pages. And so if you have a CV that is longer than 2 pages, you have to think about what are the skills or what are the experience that you really need to put on your resume that is important to maybe your graduate school application, because you don't want to have a 4 page CV where then it will be much more difficult for the person reviewing to really pinpoint what are the essential skills that you have. But limit your application letters to your academic CV rather to 2 pages. And then you should have a minimum of second class upper for this application process, and also a motivation letter which should be maximum of 250 words. So those are the requirements for this application. So now I'll start answering like some of the questions that are here in the chat and some of the questions likewise that you submitted in during the registration for this M&A. So first, going through the questions I have here with me. So the first question here is about the eligibility, and like I've said before, I've listed out like for the one key eligibility is you have to be a Nigerian Muslim student, and you should have your transcripts, you should have your passports, all of those documents for you to be able to apply. And then another question I have here is it only open for Muslims in Nigeria? Yes, it is open for just Muslims in Nigeria. And I have a question here also, that can final year undergraduate students apply, or fresh graduates can apply as well? So final year students can apply in as much as they have their unofficial transcripts. And that is kind of finicky because y- you will not be able to have your official transcripts until you finish. But if you have your unofficial transcripts and it is feasible that you will definitely finish your undergraduate studies before the whatever application before 2027, then yes, you can apply. But we need to have your transcripts. You need to have your transcripts, every other document, your passports, your CV, all of those things submitted. And yes, fresh graduates can apply as well. So the next thing I have here is there an age limit for the application? There is no age limit for this application process. So irrespective of your age, you can submit your application. So I have another question here, that what is the minimum CGPA? So there is no I would not say there is a minimum CGPA. Rather, what I would say is you need to have a second class second class upper division. So irrespective of what the CGPA falls within that range, depending on the university you attend. So you need to have that, and you just have to have like a second class upper division to apply. So if an applicant undergraduate result is low, but they have strong master's CGPA, can they apply? Yes, if you say, for example, your undergraduate CGPA, you have a 2.2 for your undergrad, but then you went on to do your master's and then you have maybe a 2.1 or a first class for your master's, you can definitely apply. You can definitely apply. And then the next question I have here, but if you have you are just an undergrad student and then you have anything lower than a 2.1, then I would say that this application process may not necessarily be for you. So is the scholarship fully funded or partially funded? So what exactly does it cover? Okay, so the scholarship so far, um so before I answer that question, Brabdu Fatah, are you there? Okay. So the scholarship is covering the maybe application process fee, but not necessarily your tuition fee or your living expenses or even monthly stipend. The main aim of Al-Musaafir right now is to get you to where you are given a fully funded scholarship in a university outside the country. So in that terms, you'll be willing to cover, like, we have stipulated amount of funds that the applicants can then use to cover either maybe it's the application fee, they want to use it to cover their IELTS, or maybe part of their GRE, whatever it is they see that the fund is most useful for them, that will enable them to like get a fully funded scholarship. That is what we are willing to cover, and not necessarily maybe your tuition fee or your accommodation or living expenses or monthly stipend. We are not covering any of those. Our main aim is to get you to have a fully funded scholarship that will then cover all of those things. So the application is not like maybe a deposit, it's just to help you with the application process to get a fully funded scholarship. So I hope you understand that. So another question I have here is that, does the program cover pre-departure costs? So does the program cover pre-departure costs? So given that what we are intended for here is mainly the application process, so we are going to help you with the application process. And before we start talking about maybe your flight tickets when you eventually get the scholarship, I'm pretty sure you would have already used up the fund that is allocated to you by then to for the application process. So in that sense, you'll not be able to like cover maybe your pre-departure costs. Well, the funds that are available, you can use them either for IELTS, you can use them towards your TOEFL, or you can add them to maybe your application fees or even your GRE fees. So any of those fees that comes along with application process for a fully funded scholarship abroad, those are the things that we cover. So the next question I have here, The next question is that how many applicants are you offering the scholarship? So now we are offering the scholarship to 20 applicants, but we have the first 10 that would be fully funded. And when I mean the first 10 that are fully funded, I mean those ones, they are the people that we maybe allocated some funds, and also the scholarship will entail mentorship. So the first 10, they'll have both the funding and also the mentorship guidance, while the other last 10, or the 11 to 20%, they'll mostly be focused on mentorship scholarship, which is they'll be allocated mentors that will guide them through the application process if they have questions, and also we help them with reviewing their documents, which maybe their motivation letters, their resume, all of those things, or their code emailing emails, all of the things that entails with application. But we may not necessarily pay for the other parts, like their application, their tofu, any of those things. But the top 10, they are the ones that will also have, maybe we'll be giving them the funding and also the mentorship. So another question I have here is participation in the program itself free of charge? So participation in this program is free of charge. We are not asking you for any money. The only thing we are asking of you is that you satisfy the requirements and you have good enough documents. So once you we review those documents and then we are selected, so we don't have any other thing required of you other than you should just give it your best. And then especially for people that perhaps along the line they are not awarded the funds to maybe help them towards their TOEFL or application fee or any of those things, but rather they are given the opportunities to have one-on-one mentorship. They should really, really use those, because they should really use those opportunities, because from my own personal experience, aside from maybe the paying for application fee, the most important thing is having a good mentor, have, and in the sense that this will help you with maybe having enough like a really good documents to submit for your applications, and that really goes a long way. So even if you don't get the funding in this scholarship and you're awarded maybe mentors and all of those things, I would still encourage you to make use of those opportunities really well. So is the scholarship for foreign universities only, or can applicants who plan to study within Nigeria also benefit? So unfortunately, right now, the scholarship is only for people that are looking for opportunities outside of Nigeria. So for people that still want to further their studies within Nigeria, would not be able to really help much. And this is because the basis of the Al-Musaafir Foundation is mostly to guide people, because from my own personal experience, when I was an undergrad, I did not really have like much opportunities. I was not really informed about the opportunities that are there with regards to studying abroad. And one of the aim of Al Musavi Foundation is to make people enlightened about these opportunities. So if you look at it, we're already Nigerians living in Nigeria. I don't think we are short of information regarding schooling within Nigeria. Instead, we are more short of information regarding schooling outside Nigeria, and because this schooling outside Nigeria even costs much more in terms of the application process, that is where Al Musafir also comes in with the mentorship, with the application, aiding like the application process along the line. So with that, we will not be able to fund or help applicants that are still looking to further their studies within Nigeria. So another question here is the review of the application on a rolling basis? The review of the application is not on a rolling basis. So irrespective of when you submit your application, if you submit it today or you submit it on the 31st of July, which is the last day to apply, you'll be given equal chances, in the terms that we'll review your documents equally, you'll be given equal chances. What we just require of you is not maybe submitting your application early, but rather making sure that what the documents you submit are the best that you could possibly submit. So just put your best foot forward. Then, which countries or universities have previous scholars gone? So, from my own knowledge, I think Bra Abdul Fattah will definitely have more information about this. But from my own knowledge, I am currently studying in the US, and I'm one of the beneficiaries of the Al-Musaafir Foundation from the first cohort. So I'll definitely, and some of my cohort members then, some of them are here in the US. We have some in Europe. We have some in Turkey. I think like we have some in China. So they are all scattered around. So yeah, just all over the place outside Nigeria basically. So another question I have is, so another question I have here is, are there restrictions on field of study? So fortunately for us, we there's no restriction on field of study. Whatever it is that is of your interest, whatever it is that you are interested in pursuing, just bring it all. So there's no limitation on that. So another question is, what are the documents? I believe we've already addressed those documents. So, can applicants without an international passport, as I've said before, you need your international passport, your transcripts, your CV, which should be limited to 2 pages for you to apply, motivation letter as well, and all of those things. So, moving on to questions regarding selection criteria and standing out. So the first question I have here is, what criteria will be used to evaluate and select scholarship recipients? So first, we'll first of all screen you based on people that have like your passport eligibility. So if you don't have a passport, definitely you are out. Then first, even before screening passport or anything, the first thing we look at is, for each applicant, do they have all the documents required of them? So if any of those documents are missing or any of the documents is missing, definitely the applicant is out. Then we move on to the next thing. If all the applicants has if they have all the documents required of them, then we look at their CGPA they submitted. Are we really sure that even though this person has a transcript submitted, their CGPA, what is the CGPA they have on there? Is he above two, is he within 2-1 first class? Then also we look at their passports. Then, if they satisfy all of those, we look at their motivation letter, we look at their transcripts, and then even after we've selected candidates, we then move on to the next step, which is the interview stage. So the interview stage gives each applicant the opportunity to really like speak up for themselves, advocate for yourself during the interview stage. So during the interview, we have much sense of who the applicant is, like the type of person they are personally, rather than what we saw from, or what's like our idea of who they could be from the document they've submitted. So I think the interview stage, that's where we get a real sense of who each applicant is, and from there we rate them based on their answers to each of the interview questions, and then from there extend the scholarship offer, or we do not. But each applicant will definitely be notified if they get into the program or not. So we will not just ghost any applicants. So for applications rejected in previous editions, can they get feedback on why and how they could improve? So yeah, so for applicants that were rejected last year, because of the number of applications we do get, we cannot send out one-on-one feedback for each applicant. However, if an applicant should reach out to us after maybe a rejection, if they reach out to us for a feedback, we'll definitely give them a feedback as to why they were rejected and how they could improve their application. But other than that, we don't like send out one-on-one feedback for each application or for each applicant. So the next question I have here is, does the scholarship guidance include guidance on university selection? Yeah, definitely. So once you are selected for this program, will help you with, because you have your mentors, you'll be assigned mentors, and these mentors, they'll be based on your field of study mostly. So you have mentors that will help you review your documents, people that will check your application fee. Even in some cases, they could like suggest schools that you could apply to, even scholarships you could look out for that you may not even know at the beginning. So yes, and if after you've submitted the application, you have interview offers and all of those things, we'll definitely set up a panel that will help you guide you through like your interview for maybe the school or the scholarship that you're vying for. So we have all of those things in place to help our scholars. So does the foundation continue to support scholars during their studies and after graduation in terms of career placement, professional development, and alumni network? Okay, so that is a very, very good question. So, and it is one of those things that we have been trying to put in place. And given that this is the fourth cohort of Al-Musaafir Foundation, which means that this is next, like the fourth year, and me that was in the first cohort, I'm currently going to my third year of grad school, which means right now we don't have anybody that got the scholarship that really needs maybe career, in terms of maybe career placement or professional development or any alumni network. But we are putting in place processes for all of those things in terms of alumni networks, professional development. And once we have, say, we are in our sixth, seventh cohort, we have more graduates, we have more people within the Al Musaafir Foundation, then we'll definitely have like a more enriching alumni network. And then I'll even the alumni can benefit from all of those things rather than just the application process. So this is something that we definitely will put in place as the foundation continue to grow. Then, can successful applicants still access the foundation's mentorship tools or community? Okay, I read that wrong actually. So the question is, can unsuccessful applicants still access the foundation's mentorship tools or community? So yeah, for the past cohorts we've had, we don't have like a community for our own successful applicants, but we do have for the successful one. But this is another thing we are looking into, perhaps creating a group where those applicants could be like maybe discuss with each other, and if we have any maybe information, you could just drop it on the page. It could be like a WhatsApp page. That is something we've not done in the past, but it's definitely worth looking into. Then I'll move on to questions regarding timeline and communication. So the first question I have here is, when does the program start and what is its duration? So ideally the program will start mid-August. Yeah, it will start mid-August. And then when it ends, there's no specific end time to the program, because our aim is to get each of the applicants for this particular cohort, or each of our scholars for this cohort, to submit enough applications, and then we see them through the application process, them submitting the applications, getting feedback from the schools, either positive or negative. If it's positive, then if they have like an interview, we still support them on that, irrespective of when the interview is. So we don't have a specific end date, but given that most scholarship applications by February, most scholarship application, you're already submitting March, you're already submitting by April, you are getting feedback. So I could say maybe by May, we would already have like a complete feedback for our scholars within this cohort. So by May, we'll definitely have rounded everything up, and then we can start looking at the next cohort. But aim here is we'll definitely start mid-August, and then from there we just see it based on each applicant duration and all of those things. So when is the application deadline? The application deadline is July 31st. So the last day to apply is July 31st. So until then, continue working on your application documents, getting your motivation letter, making sure your CV is the best representation of you and your skills and your experience, and then just making sure you're putting in your best and just submitting before July 31st. Then what happens after applying? What are the screening stages, and when will applicants be notified of their status? So, given that the program will start mid August, we'll definitely round everything up within like maybe August, early August, thereabouts. So, the screening stage, as I've said before, we'll look at all the applications documents you submitted. We'll have like an interview with the applicants, and based on that, we'll give them feedback. All applicants will hear from us. Either you are selected or you are not selected, and if you want a personified feedback as to why you're not selected, or for whatever reason, you can shoot us an email, and then we'll get back to you. Then okay, so I think that is all the questions I have from the application that you submitted. So I'll just scan through the chat to see if there's any questions that I've missed, or maybe I did not answer, or you need clarification on. You can just put them in the chat. So I have one here, which is um what's the motivation letter going to focus on? Is it the school or Al-Musaafir? Okay, so now that's a very good question. So the motivation letter for this one, for this application, should be focused on Al-Musaafir. Why do you want to like get into Al-Musaafir? Why should we select you for this particular scholarship? And keep in mind, the Al-Musaafir scholarship mainly is a need-based scholarship, and also it is focused on ensure like providing information to our applicants, and also to mentorship and all of those things. So your motivation letter should be addressed to Al Mustafir, and not motivation letter to the school you're applying for, or maybe your field of study, or any of those things. So another question here I have is, okay, I think I've answered the question about the motivation letter. So please, is it July 31st or 2026? Oh, it is July 31st, 2026. So the end of this month, basically, that is it for the application for Al Musafir Scholarship, because you will select our applicants, have our scholars, and then they'll start submitting um applications for next academic year, which is 2027. But the application deadline is for Al Musafir Scholarship is 31st of July 2026. So could you please clarify whether the recommendation letter is required to be written on the institution's official letterhead, or if a signed letter without an official? So preferably it should be on official letterhead. And just as a side note, most recommendation letters, if not all, should be on official letterheaded paper. Even maybe subsequently, if you're accepted to the program, if you're not accepted to the program, and you just look forward to maybe submitting application that require recommendation letter, if you have to submit applications that require recommendation letter, the recommendation letter should ideally be on a letter-headed paper. So another question I have here is what type of CV pattern do you prefer? Actually, we don't have a specific pattern because I know there are like different Europa CV, whatever academic CV. We don't have a specific pattern. What we just require is you have a two-page CV that is legible. So we don't want something that is like very tiny. Two-page CV, academic CV that is legible, so that is it. So we don't have a particular style. So I asked if the scholarship is for someone that just want to enter university or someone that want to further their education. I don't quite get that because I don't understand the question, to be sincere. For someone that just want to enter university or someone that want to further their education. Entering university, furthering your education seems like the same thing. But I don't really understand that question. But I'll just say that the scholarship specifically is for people that you're interested in applying for maybe a master's program outside Nigeria or a PhD program outside Nigeria. So that's what the scholarship is for. Like those are the candidates we are looking for. So when will the results be announced? So it should be announced by August. I don't know the specific date yet. So the international passports, how many I missed that. How many pages do you need? Oh, we don't need number of pages for your international passport. So it should just be within 6 months. Okay, so how should the letter of recommendation be addressed? So you can just address it to Al-Musaafir Foundation, really. Um, so I got an admission offer letter from UMT to be used for MTCP scholarship. Oh, you don't need to attach any like further documents to the application aside the documents we really asked for. So aside from those documents that we asked for, so you don't need to attach any further documents. Maybe you have publications, you have offer letters, you have grants. We don't need any of those things. Just the documents that we asked for will do. So is there a limit on the date of the recommendation letter? Let's say someone applied last 2 years with a recommendation letter and wasn't picked. Can they still use that same recommendation letter? Okay, now that's a tricky question because the essence of the recommendation letter is we want to have another person's opinion of you. So, especially someone that has, like, you've worked with, that can speak about your maybe your tenacity, how good you are. So, if the recommendation letter from that person still satisfies those, you can use them. But given that it's been like past 2 years that you've known, maybe I don't know if you still keep good contact with this person, but if it's someone that you still have good contact with, it would be better for you to still ask like maybe a recommendation letter from them. So we don't want someone that maybe you're not currently in touch with and getting recommendation letter with from them. So we want to have recommendation letter from someone that is still kind of current, like still know who you currently are, if you like, if that answers your question. So the next thing is, so is it compulsory your supervisor letter writes your recommendation letter? So it is not compulsory your supervisor writes your recommendation letter, but it is advisable you have a recommendation letter from your supervisor if you intend on applying for grad school. So am I supposed to be recommended for grad school or Al-Musaafir itself? So you're applying for Al-Musaafir scholarship. So you should be recommended for Al-Musaafir scholarship. And on that note, your motivation letter should also be for Al-Musaafir scholarship, not maybe your field of study or maybe the school you are intended on applying for or maybe the scholarship you want to apply for. So just think about this whole application process is you getting into the Al Musafir scholarship program, and all your application documents should address those things. So what questions here? In applications like this, what is the reality for someone with a 2-1 since it's likely to be flooded with first class? Is it an okay? So on this note, you see, there's a lot of ways I could actually address this, but I'll just say if we are always thinking that there will always be someone that is better than we are in whatever we are doing, and we cannot because of that just like give up and not apply or just be like, oh, there's someone better than me out there. So you just don't care about any other person maybe having a first class or having a better qualification than you are. All we are asking of you is that you should just put your best self out there. And me myself that got the scholarship in the first edition, I don't have a first class. So yeah, having a first class maybe helps, but given that we are not only asking for your CGPA, we are also asking for your other documents. So please just put your best self out there. So another thing I have here is um good day. I got a conditional offer letter that I must provide English test for. What are my chances? I've submitted already. Or is there any other? So the offer letter, as I've said before, the only documents we ask of you are the ones that are on the application process documents. You don't need to attach any other documents to the application process. Just all we ask is that you submit your CV, your transcripts, have your passport, your motivation letter, your recommendation letter, and those things should be fine. So we don't, if you have maybe a scholarship offer that maybe needs any other thing, we don't need to have the offer letter. You don't need to attach any of those things to the application process. So master's applicants, do they need to provide BSc, MSc transcripts, or MSc transcript alone suffice? So for master's applicants, you need to provide both your MSc and also your MSc and also your BSc transcripts. Okay. So a question here. I was admitted in 2.0, but I had to decline because I got an MSc same year. I want to put in for PhD. Am I still welcome? Yeah, definitely. You can still apply even if you've maybe and then you have your MSc now. Yeah, you can still apply. So another question I have is okay, if I'm to be recommended for Al-Musaafir scholarship itself, is it compulsory the recommendation comes from my lecturer, supervisor, or I can recommend by an Islamic scholar in my society? Now, the thing is, for the Al-Musaafir scholarship itself, you can ask from your Islamic scholar for it. That being said, we actually so even if for the Al-Musaafir scholarship, you can ask maybe a recommendation from your Islamic scholar. That being said, we still expect that you should have recommendation letter from your supervisor, some of your lecturers, because during the application process, you will need those. And even if you get into the Al-Musaafir scholarship, the end goal is not you just getting into the Al-Musaafir scholarship, right? Is for you to get into grad school with a fully funded scholarship. So my advice would be that you should still get in touch with your supervisor, you should still get in touch with your lecturers to get the recommendation letters. So, because you definitely still need it. So, just make sure you are still in touch with your supervisor, your lecturers, because they will really help you during the application process. So, what other questions are there? Mm, I already submitted my application, but it is not the same criteria you have spoken now. I don't really get that. Can I proceed with my application without an international passport? So, as I've said like multiple times, we do require you to submit your international passport that has more than 6 months expiration on it, and then your transcripts. So all of those things are part of the application packet. So we need all of those things. So what other questions are there? So is can you submit recommendations from foreign researchers we've worked with to confirm our readiness, because the graduate school course I'm interested in is in same as BSc. Yes, you can ask your foreign researchers as well to submit recommendation letters for you. We just want somebody that can speak about you, that knows you. Then, so the arrangement of past masters and BSc transcripts and how it's be, I don't understand that question. Okay, so I think I've answered most of the questions here. So before we wrap the Fata, if because someone asked a question earlier about where our scholars are currently, so if you could maybe share that. Okay, so I think we'll just round up here now. So if you okay, applicant applying for double major grad school. Okay, please, if you don't have the official transcripts, can you get your results to save as that? So currently we want the official transcripts actually, because for your applications you need your official transcripts, or even in the list your unofficial transcripts that are like completed. So you definitely, if you don't have the official, we want like the unofficial transcript that has all of it, but not just you compiling your results together. Oh, so sorry, your question is not answered. Please, could you repeat your question or just type it in? Oh, yes, you can use a student's copy. Okay, so do you consider HND holders, please? Um, so for HND holders, that's a little bit tricky because then I'll leave that for Abdul Fattah to answer. So Abdul Fattah, are you there? Okay, so can you hear me? Okay, so for the workshop, the program, the workshop of the program and all of those things, we'll have them on the YouTube channel, so you can have access to all of them. What's your question? I didn't care of yet. I don't see your question. Okay, I think I see. For those of us that have submitted already, will there be opportunities for us to edit the application? This meeting has enlightened us more on how to stand out. Um, I will have to ask Brad Fatah if you'll be able to maybe edit your application and resubmit. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, if that is possible, then we'll announce them on our social media pages on LinkedIn. So we'll get back to you on LinkedIn about that. So yes, for the live program, this AMA session, you can still see them online as well as our videos, our recorded videos on the graduate school workshop. Then are you sponsoring us the applicants from the starting point of finance to the end of our program? Um, I'm not sure I understand this question, but I'll just restate that for the Al-Musaafir Scholarship, each applicant has an allocated amount that they can use for their application process. So it could be that the applicants want to use it for maybe the application fee, or want to use it for their TOEFL, or want to use it as part of their GRE. So any of the phases during the application process, the applicant see fit that the fund will be helpful for them. So we will be able to cover that. But anything beyond application process, the Al Musafir scholarship cannot really cater for those funds. And those entails maybe your tuition fee, your travel fee, any of those other things. Because our aim is to get you a fully funded scholarship at the end of the day. So I hope that answers your question. So you can use your student transcripts copy to apply for this. No, I don't mean that it takes 6 months to get a passport. What I mean is you should have a valid passport that still has about 6 months date on it or thereabout. Yeah. So you should have a valid passport. Because even after the whole application process, when you are going for your visa interview and all of those things, you need to have a valid passport that still has enough number of months on it. So just to be sure, because what's the essence of you getting in and then you're not able to travel out? So if your supervisor is not comfortable with handing you recommendation, you can definitely send it directly to us. So you can send him out. You can send it through our email, and so we'll get that. So yes, you can use your recommendation letter from your supervisor at work. What we need from the recommendation letter is a third party assessment of you. So anybody that satisfies that requirement, you should use them. But I would also say that it is really important you have connections with your lecturers, your supervisor in schools, because aside from the Al-Musaafir scholarship, once you're applying for grad school, you need those recommendation letters. So that being said, so I'll hand over to Bro Al Fatai now, so you can round up. Yes, the recommendation letter should be directed to Al Musafir. Yeah, completing my master's this year. Can I apply for PhD with my undergraduate transcript? So I'm waiting for my master's transcript. Yes, you can. So yeah, you can do that. So the motivation letter should address why you should be selected for the Al-Musaafir Scholarship. So so why you should be selected for the Al-Musaafir Scholarship. And as I said, the Al-Musaafir Scholarship is a need-based and also based on mentorship for grad students. So, thank you all for attending this AMA session. I hope we've been able to answer some of your questions and address them. So, hopefully, we look forward to having your applications and reviewing them, getting back to you with your maybe interview. And if for any reason you are not selected for the application, I would still encourage you to keep on applying for your grad school, and you can reach out to any of the Al Musafir scholars to maybe review your applications, your documents. Even if you're not selected for this application process, there are a lot of people that are willing to help more than you think. You can reach out to people even on LinkedIn, so you should use that. So even if you're not selected for this scholarship, I'll still advise and encourage you mostly to still try to reach out to people, try to be added, like try to find group of people that you share like common interests and still continue to pursue your goals. So with that, thank you so much for attending. We look forward to your applications and hearing back from you. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of the week. Bye.